Welcome back, fans, to another live edition of the Shooting from the Hip podcast on thehannibaltv.com. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. Today, we're going to be looking at some, and I know there's a lot, of the real fights in professional wrestling, the legitimate shoot encounters, both in the ring and outside of the ring, along with some busy stuff in terms of professional wrestling news this week. So lots to cover, but I would be remiss if I did not introduce right now the one and only king of the streets, the Kingpin himself, the reigning and defending Great North Wrestling hardcore champion, Kingpin Angel Medina.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. The greatest introduction I ever had in my life. Yep, the Kingpin is in the house, bro. I'm wearing one of these chest fanny packs, man. Trying it out for my vacation coming up in December. So if you're wondering if I'm wearing suspenders, negative. It's just a little fanny pack gimmick. Ooh, look at that.
Oh, I like that.
I just wanted to try it out if I'm wearing shorts and stuff, so I can put my wallet, my phone. So I'm not wearing suspenders. I'm not Uncle Elmer, you know.
Well, that reminds me, I'm going to be interviewing in a few weeks one of the original hillbillies, Solomon Grundy. Do you remember Solomon Grundy?
Jesus Christ, it's been such a long time. You know, so when you said Solomon Grundy, I'm thinking of Solomon Grundy from the DC comics. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he had quite a run in world class, USWA, Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to check that out. If you put that gimmick over, I'll check that out because I too have a fanny pack, but I think it's a little safer there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, this is just a little, you know, look, get the zipper gimmick right there, here, put the wallet gimmick, the phone. You can fit a lot of stuff in here, you know. I don't think you'll put your cell phone in here in this little pocket thing, but it depends on the phone. But it's cool, man. Like I said, I'm trying it out, seeing if it's something I could use, but I probably will. And stuff, but yeah, little chest fanny pack now, new gimmick.
Right on. Well, you have to smart me up how it works out for you.
Yeah,
let's start off with the news that seems to be something that everybody is talking about, and you characterized it as what appears to be an unsafe working environment in all elite wrestling, coming off that horrendous pay-per-view where there were a couple of high-profile, I guess they were matches, but a couple of high-profile incidents that we can talk about. But what initially are your concerns?
Well, I mean, it's just watching I was watching mostly a lot of clips, a lot of things of different matches. And it's just the inexperience and the lack of wrestling knowledge. I mean, I hate sounding like that, but it's just watching those moves from the males to the females doing these botches that just back in the days was so easily, you know, covered up. And it's just inexperience. Like they're putting guys on TV that doesn't have the wrestling knowledge and the experience to work a match. You know, it's just awkward. That just throws me off, and I catch it, you know. And even watching the match with Swerve and Hangman, you know, again, Swerve is an excellent athlete. It's just the needle to the mouth, it's just the risk. You know, it just doesn't appeal to me that they're taking that much of a risk to entertain the fans. You know, yeah, I did my hardcore matches, but there was a story behind it. And it just doesn't have any story behind it for them to do the things that they're doing. I mean, that's just, again, my perspective on things.
No, I agree. I'm wondering if AEW is trying to become XPW, who, of course, I believe it was about a year and a half ago, did that deal with the syringe, which was just terrible. But a lot of people are talking about that. But what about that power bomb that Swerve took to the, I guess, concrete cinder blocks? Did you see that?
Well, I thought that was Hangman that took the move.
Okay, so one of the two, I got confused too because I've only seen clips, but I saw that for sure. What was your thoughts on that in terms of if you look back, it doesn't take a lot to totally end one's career with a back injury. such as that. Thinking about Rick Rude in Japan with Sting, he landed on the edge of that.
On that
Yeah,
step.
on the edge of those steps or whatever they were, and boom, he's done. What are your thoughts on that? And how can you possibly take care of your opponent doing that?
Well, I mean, it's all about longevity, man. I mean, you want to be in this business as long as you can, and doing things like that is just very risky. And I seen it in Japan. I seen the guys drop guys on forks and all this stuff. And yeah, you're young, you don't feel it now, but then eventually you wonder why your back is killing you. I mean, look at um Man Pondo. I mean, hardcore legend, but the guy walks like he's 90 years old and he's all battered and bruised, and and I got a torn tricep that I fixed, and it's not the same as it used to be. I mean, my knees are not that great. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff that I used to do that wasn't even as high risk as it is now. And I'm just saying, they're just doing stuff for, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to do those things unless it build into some major storyline angle. And if I was going to do something that drastic, I mean, I got to see the payday. It has to be worth it. But I don't think that they offer that.
No, and the other area of criticism in that match, and I've heard a lot about, this is, harkening back to the larger theme when you're talking about an unsafe work environment. Obviously, there's nobody there stepping in to go, enough's enough, because that same match, you had the spot on the cinder block, the stupid needle spot, and then the chair shot, which I don't know if you've seen that or not. And people are saying,
yeah.
the chair was shaved down, blah, 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 but it still horse collared him and he took it unprotected.
The chair shot? What was shaved down?
They're saying the chair was gimmicked somehow.
Well, you can gimmick it up because you could gimmick it up with zip ties. You could just, so the lip could break. The only reason I know that, and it wasn't gimmicked up, it was gimmicked up to hurt somebody, is when Balls Mahoney was going to do the chair shot on Vito. It was one of our matches at the ECW arena, and the story was behind that was we were talking over the match. It was the Baldies versus Axel and Balls. I think that's when New Jack came out. But the funny thing is that Vito, and again, nothing major, just Vito told Balls, hey man, just be careful with the chair shot. And Balls got pissed. And then he zip tied the chair, to make it stiffer. So when Balls hit him with the chair, it broke legitimately, but it was reinforced with zip ties. So even the force to do that was ridiculous. So he really stiffed Vito with that. And so I knew that if you take off the bolts and just gimmick up the chair, you can, and to lessen the impact. But like I said, Balls did it for the opposite effect, but yeah, it could have been gimmicked. But again, I mean, that's fine. I mean, but a chair shot like that, especially if it's gimmicked up, it's fine. But like I said, the other stuff that they were doing it's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. And I don't understand how Taz and all these guys who back in the days were like, that's fucking ridiculous. That, I would never do that. That's fucking too above what we normally do. And I know that's his job to commentate, but I wonder if he did have any saying like, this is bullshit,
Well, it sounds like it's the proverbial Wild West there, especially given the match before that one was Perry, that little dude Jack Perry against Bryan Danielson, and the aftermath of that deal had Moxley turning on Danielson and doing the old plastic bag spot, which I think you probably, as I did, first saw that in '89 with Funk and Flair, when Funk intervened after the title match with Steamboat when he won the belt and put the plastic bag on him, then pile drove him sort of through a table. And all the uproar on television from the television executives at the time, because it was a Clash of Champions on TBS, and it almost got wrestling yanked. Did you happen to see that deal?
No, I saw that pay-per-view when I was younger and on TV. But the thing is this, like, okay, yeah, you could do wrestling moves. Kids do, mimic what they see on TV. Clotheslines, suplexes, yeah, I mean, but when you go to the extreme of like a plastic bag, that doesn't take that much skill. You know what I mean? Like, you're afraid a kid would do something to choke out his brother with a plastic bag, not knowing that, because you pretend to put a sleeper hold, you pretend to put, the Boston Crab or the Walls of Jericho, and even when as a kid you don't really pull the full force, you play, but when a plastic bag over the head, there's no playing around that, there's no way to, you got to be careful, when you do things like that, and I just don't think that should have been done. You know what I mean? I mean, they could have done something else. They could have just anything, just another, like the Dusty Rhodes and the baseball bat angle when the Horseman caught him in parking lot. You never saw him hit Dusty with the baseball bat to break his arm, but then in the following week, they showed Dusty in a cast to insinuate that was, he was just make it count. When Dusty said make it count, and then they cut. Things like that. You give the illusion of hurting somebody with a baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
But for them to do the plastic bag thing, I just think kids would just see that as a, oh, we could do that. That's play. And then somebody gets killed. I don't think it was a smart choice.
Well, if you listen to, Cornette speaking about both of those incidents, and the fans watching this broadcast know that recently there's been a lot of videos of Cornette and his take on a number of issues on the HannibalTV.com. So those are doing extremely well. Everybody, like him or hate him, is interested in what Cornette has to say. He indicated that, that plastic bag deal is an old trope. It was done in the territories before the Funk Flair thing, but in a show that features everything but the kitchen sink, including that stuff that happened in the match right after with Swerve and Hangman, it's the law of diminishing returns, and AEW is not going in the right direction. They seem to be completely lost as a company in terms of direction, and then all this hotshot booking, which a lot of folks blame ECW for starting, and the hardcore wrestling, really catching fire in ECW. But I think you make a good point that less is more, and a lot of people remember ECW for the flaming tables, the chair shots, the barbed wire, but that wasn't the entirety of ECW.
Correct.
It was a very storyline heavy company, and there was some really excellent technical wrestling as well. So what do you think AEW needs to do to get the cart back on the path? Because this stuff is going to continue to be more danger for the wrestlers and the law of diminishing returns.
Well, I mean, the problem is that to get back, they just need to not start from scratch, but just get rid of, and I can't say get rid of certain talents. I'm not saying get rid of people that are from behind the scenes, because somebody came up with those stupid ideas, and I don't know who sits there at the table saying that's a great idea. I mean, that's the thing, man. You need to realize, sitting there in front of everybody coming up with these ideas, that's when you tell them, like, this is bullshit, this is good, this is bad. But you can't just like throw out these crazy matches and think that, it's okay, and that's the problem. I just need to know who, when when Vince does production meetings and go, we're going to do this is an idea, that's the thing that they need to do. Like, find out whose fucking idea was this shit. That's the thing that doesn't make sense. Well,
according to some people, it's the old WCW trope of the inmates running the asylum, and Cornette refers to Khan as the ultimate mark booker from the message boards, playing to that very small audience, and nobody is there to tell them, look, this isn't the way that the company needs to go, and it's basically chaos. So the boys are coming up with their own stuff and just going out there. I don't even know in terms of agents what their role is in AEW, because it seems to be, again, a lot of chaos.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, are they afraid to tell Tony Khan no? Are they saying that, afraid to tell him, hey man, that's a stupid idea, because they're afraid to lose their job. That's the problem with this business, is that you're there for you're there to put in your 2 cents in regards to what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. But if you're just there as a hood ornament, just to pretend like, hey, that's a great idea, it's like that FedEx commercial when the guy, the CEO sitting there like this, and he goes, and the guy goes, we need to come up with an idea, right? And the guy goes, hey, boss, what if we do this, this, and that, and and go this route? No, I'm not feeling it. Keep pondering. And they sit there, and then he goes, hey, I got it. And the boss goes, hey, I got an idea. And he says the exact same thing. And the guy goes, didn't I just say that? Yeah, but I said it like, and he did the hand motion, but I did this. And that's the thing. I just think that they just sit there, just go, hey, that's a great idea, Tony. Or hey guys, what do you think it is? Hey, that's a great idea. Good, Tony. And I don't think nobody has the balls. And again, I'm not at the meeting. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but from my perspective, I'm assuming that there's just a bunch of yes men and they just nod their head, And I ain't doing that shit. I'd be like, look, that's stupid. That's the most stupidest thing I ever heard. Who the hell? Where did you come up with that idea? But they're afraid to get fired because, this guy's not a team player, fire him. And so they,
Yeah, and it's something something that they're going to have to come to grips with as a company. And I'm one of the ones, I know, I think you feel the same way, that falls into the camp that until Tony Khan isn't doing all the booking and all the creative, that I know they have an unlimited supply of cash, but if their issues with the TV deal, which we're going to talk about next, are illustrative of how that company's going to play out in the next 2 years. I mean, they're always saying that everything's fine and they're on an upswing, but the ratings are terrible, and attendance is even worse. Have you seen the crowd shots where there's maybe a few hundred people there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ECW used to do that when we didn't have enough people to fill the audience. We just put everybody in front of the hard cam to give the illusion that there was tons of people there. So again, not knocking it. They got to do what they got to do to give that perspective that they have a bunch of people in the audience. But if they just, I don't know, man. It's just like, I'm saying, because though I know me talking right now, people going, oh, he's just bitter. He's just saying that because he's not part of the team and he's trying to get a job, which I did. I tried to get a job and they were like negative, so I'm not bitter. I'm just being honest. I'm happy where I'm at. Would I love to have a job working for them? Absolutely, because it's a good payday. But there's no guarantee that your paycheck is, unless you have a contract that you're stuck there for a good while. So I just think that they just need to revamp certain things, man. Get rid of certain people, man. I mean, Orange Cassidy, I don't think he's a great worker. That's a bullshit gimmick. Now I forgot his name. The motherfucker who dives off backwards and, Sting's tag team partner.
Oh, Darby Allin, yeah.
He's fucking garbage.
Yeah.
I just think he's garbage. He's risking his body. I've seen some of the matches, him being dropped on stairs and stuff. The guy is, again, I don't give a fuck. If I see him, I'll tell him right in his face, you're the shits. I just don't care about this. I love the business, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it the way I used to back in the day. Well, I don't want heat. Fuck them. Darby Allin's garbage. Orange Cassidy's garbage. I would have beat the brakes off him back in the days. Just to prove a point. I think Hook, he's a good wrestler. I think he's fine, but I think he's overhyped and he's just living off this dad's gimmick. Again, is that me hating? No, it's not hating. It's just I'm just looking at it from my perspective. Is he garbage? No, but I just think he should make his own path and build his own character and not live off of the Taz mission and all this other stuff like he's his dad's carbon copy. Yeah, he's his son, but you don't see fucking Randy Orton running around in a cowboy hat and a fucking cast on his arm pretending he's the outlaw. No, he's Randy Orton, his own individual and own style, and that kid needs to do his own thing, without his dad's influence. But that's it. I speak my mind. Fuck it.
Yeah, I agree. the guy that has instant go away heat with me is that Jack Perry. I mean, you're not Billy Badass, bro. My leg probably weighs as much as your entire body, and he's after he was away, then he's come back. They had an opportunity, I think, to make him a chicken shit sneaky heel with a valet, but instead he's Billy Badass, and I just don't buy it. I think he's terrible. And if anybody should have got fired, in my opinion, from that All Out incident, that ultimately I think when the history books are written, will show was the downfall of AEW. It was him and not CM Punk. But neither here nor there. We're going to continue to watch that with a mixture of fascination and horror. But it's being talked about that they still don't have a TV deal. They were negotiating with Fox. They're still negotiating apparently with Warner Brothers, etc. A lot of potential suitors, but they do not have a TV deal. They said during that also abysmal scrums that Tony Khan insists on having after the pay-per-views that there's a 90% chance there'll be a media deal in the next month, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be the blockbuster that he was saying for the past 2 years. And I don't think the situation is helped by I don't know how you feel about Dave Meltzer. I've been a subscriber or was.
I have nothing against Dave Meltzer.
Well, he's not being helpful in terms of saying that everything AEW does basically is a huge success and they're financially a very successful business. I just don't buy it. What do you think about their TV rights upcoming?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that, look, I mean, Tony Khan got a lot of money, but he just needs to sell it to the stations to see which is going to pick them up. Because right now they're on TNT, TNN,
WTBS.
Oh shit! I was off grid, and they need to find a new home, but they have to sell it, man. They have to, they need to fucking clean out the attic first before they start presenting. Like selling your house. Get your house up to specs, and then present it. Because right now, doing the fucking plastic bag, the needle in the mouth, the cinder blocks, that's something that companies are not really like, oh, that's a great idea. It's just too violent. I mean, if they went to Netflix, like the WWE, Hulu, they need to go off like that, like one of those companies where you're not held to that high, that standard of the FCC and and stuff where they're regulated. Because when you go to like one of the streaming services, then all that is off the table. Now you can do the flaming pipe up the ass match. The dildo on the pole match, Then you could take it to the next level.
But even then, that's such a niche audience. What's next? King of the Death matches, light tubes. I mean, that's a very small niche audience. And some people have pointed out WWE is successful because started in the 80s marketing to kids. They still are pretty much a kid-friendly product with that brief sojourn in the Attitude Era. I think they need to take a complete look at their format, but again, don't think that's going to happen. We're running out of time for the news segment, so I'll just hit you with a couple of close or fast.
We're never running out of time. We regulate this.
Well, me, I'm a stickler for details, so maybe we might go over today. We'll see. But quickly, Jesse Ventura has been signed to return to the WWE and do color for Saturday night's main event coming up on NBC. What do you think of that? From a nostalgia point of view, excellent.
I love Jesse. I love Jesse Ventura. I love Saturday Night Main Event. I can't get enough of him. But looking at him now compared to what he was, does he still? I mean, he still has the voice. Does he? He's old, and I'm not saying old like bad, but he's he just looks homely. The old Jesse was in the gimmicks and the shades and the wigs and just all the fun stuff. I just got to visually see him in action again. Like what's he going to be wearing? Is he going to be wearing that? That like he just looks like a grandpa in sweats and a fanny pack. So I just got to see what he does. But I'm excited. It's Jesse Ventura.
I was shocked when he was on Raw, or was it SmackDown, one of the two programs, when he showed up there, and he looked like he rolled out of bed. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
T-shirt like that. That was like, wow, that's not the Jesse that we grew to love with the boa and the glasses and everything. So yeah, we'll have to see how he is presented or how he presents himself. But I think he's still got a lot going on upstairs and will be funny. One of the greatest lines ever was when he said to McMahon, "It's only cheating if you get caught, McMahon." It doesn't get more iconic than that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the funny part is just he used to come up with these one-liners that's just awesome. But again, Jesse is an awesome individual. I have nothing but love for the guy. I mean, he helped me, get into the business mentally when I used to watch Saturday Night Main Event. I hope he makes a lot of money, and I hope he is Jesse the Body Ventura of the old, and and not look like he just rolled out of bed,
And the last kind of combined, I'll just mention quickly, Hammerstone, who's with TNA now, debuted on NXT and or is going to debut in NXT. I see big things in the company for that guy if they don't have a wellness policy anymore. And the Motor City Machine Guns.
He smokes a lot of weed or something?
No, he's jacked. Like he's gassed to the.
Talking about man. They don't have no wellness policy for the gimmicks. So I think that'd be fine.
Well, it depends. It depends where you are on the card too, right?
Correct. Remember that Scott Steiner, said, "Oh, I'll take a fucking test if Triple H takes a fucking test."
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on when you're on the card, but it's whatever.
And of course, Motor City Machine Guns have signed with WWE, one of the most exciting tag teams in recent years from TNA. They're going to debut on NXT, but the last thing I want your thoughts on is Raw when it moves over to Netflix will be 2 hours again. I think that's an awesome move. And the number of live events are going to be cut down apparently to around 200 a year in 2025.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's what TKO is saying. It seems like they're going to be moving more and more to a special or premium event company with the pay-per-views.
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of scary because I'm like, oh, you're trimming down the fat, and when you trim down the fat, that's less time for talent. So I wonder if they're going to cut some of the boys too.
Yeah, that's a good question. Historically speaking, people that are in the know about the MMA business and look at UFC and their parent corporation, they buy out organizations, say that they're going to maintain the status quo, and then cuts follow. So that'll be interesting to watch in the next year.
No, yeah, and that's what I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out. I think this is just going to be something because again, now they're like not PG, they're like rated R superstar type of thing, and so I'm thinking it's going to be freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could be wrong though.
Have one more news item I'll save to the end if we can get it in that people are talking about, and that's Logan Paul versus Kevin Nash. But as the topics that, pardon me?
I was yawning. I said, excuse me.
Okay.
Because you're boring.
I am boring. Yes, that's my gimmick. As per the title of the show, we're looking at real fights in professional wrestling. At first I was thinking, just in the ring, but many others happen outside of the ring throughout history. And we're going to go through a few of those and get your recollections of them, your thoughts on them. But I wanted to start off with one of the most famous ones in recent history, and that has to be Hannibal versus Lanny Poffo. People have been talking about that for a very long time. It happened in New Brunswick in 2011.
Uh-huh.
Are you familiar with the incident?
Yeah, but you said it, but I think it was just a work. I think it was just part of the storyline.
Well, it's kind of one of those things in wrestling that the lines are definitely blurred. It it was Hannibal's idea to start a program with Lanny Poffo and create interest in that. So he devised the plan for Lanny to be pissed off over something over their first match. I guess it was going to be a 3-part series. Came to the back, slapped him. Hannibal, of course, took him down, had him in a control. I think it was a Kimura lock, and Poffo said at one time that he couldn't breathe. This was kayfabe right up until approximately 2 years ago when Hannibal discussed it. The interesting part is, before his death, Lanny said it was planned, but, and I'll use his quote, he said, what wasn't real became real.
Yeah.
As he alleged that Hannibal had it on and he could not breathe, and that was legitimate, and he had to go limp to get out of the situation. But by far the most interesting thing Poffo did, in my opinion, since his Saturday night's main event match against Hogan.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I saw the video. I mean, but I just thought it was a work. You know, everything's just a work. So I mean, a lot of situations always happen in the ring when they get into some massive fights. So I mean, it happened. You know, never happened to me. You know, but it happened to certain people like Vic Grimes and Perry Saturn and Sandman and all this other stuff. So I mean, it does become a straight shoot. Or even Jim Duggan and oh my God, and Doink, Matt Bourne.
Oh yes,
yeah. You know, I mean, it becomes a real deal. You know, it becomes a shoot, you may per se.
What do you think causes that in those situations for workers to come out and have a match and then have it just degrade like that? What's the number one cause? Just, I hear a lot about, well, they blew this spot, they blew that spot, or prior animosity. How do you think the majority of that particular variety comes together?
I just think sometimes it just gets overly what's the word I'm looking for? Taken serious. Like, things happen, like the Vic Grimes situation. It just takes one. It just happens. It just happens. I can't explain it, man. I mean, from one little mess up, or miscommunication, or saying something stupid, like I said, the thing what happened to Vic Grimes, if he would have just didn't open his mouth and went to visit Jack, none of this would have happened. But he didn't do what he was told, and then he said it was all Jack's fault, and then he didn't go see him at the hospital. That just built up some heat. So it just takes one little slip of the lip or not protecting your opponent, and then you just get the break speed out of you.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of ECW, there's one I wanted to ask you about, because I'm sure you have more information on it than the limited information that's out there, and that was Barely Legal 97 with Taz against Sabu, and Taz apparently broke Sabu's nose in a fit of rage. Do you recall that one?
No, because I don't remember that. But I mean, come on, man! Look at Taz dropping Sabu. Chris Benoit dropping Sabu on his head and breaking his neck. It happens. Now I don't know. I wasn't there when that happened with Sabu and Sabu and Taz, but it is what it is, brother. It is what it is. I don't know what happened in the ring that caused that animosity. But look at the same shit with the story was with Rob Van Dam slapping the shit out of Taz.
Pick a hand?
Pick a hand. But that was in the back of the locker room. I wasn't there. I just heard the story. And that's the problem. That's another thing. When you've been known as a tough guy and that's your gimmick, and I wasn't there, but and then that happens, that takes away a lot of, not say credibility, but like, hey, I thought you were a brown belt in judo and you're the the suplex machine and beat me if you can, survive if I let you, and it happened. kind of like people go, oh shit, he ain't that tough,
Mm-hmm.
like Jack. And New Jack was a very violent guy. I never had an issue with him. But a lot of guys, but he backed it up. But a lot of guys said, his bark was worse than his bite. But Jack was one of those guys where, like if you beat him up and he'll come back later with a baseball bat. He's one of those type of guys.
Or a taser. Did Vic Grimes in that famous, horrendous scaffold match in XPW? Did Grimes know that Jack was going to bring a taser and the
I don't know. I think in the interview that he did in Dark Side of the Ring, I think Jack said that he didn't know that he was bringing the taser, because that's the part where he said, Jack, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs. And I said, well, don't worry. I got
you won't need him.
You won't need him.
Mm.
Off that balcony, man. Shit. I mean, balcony, off the scaffold.
Yeah, the Danbury fall was bad enough, but that I think that not a lot of fans recognize that bump as, I'm convinced, is the most dangerous extreme bump in the history of pro wrestling, in my opinion.
But it's funny, the way he hit those ropes, it could have went either way. He could have hit and flew out the ring into the concrete onto a guardrail, but he hit and fell back in the ring. So, I mean, it was a grace of God that he survived that. And I think he would have survived it even if he would have went to the floor, bounced off the ropes and on the ground, but it would have been a wrap.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like Vic. Vic is a good dude. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body. It's just that he just said things that just rub people the wrong way, and it was not intentional. It was, you just can't fix stupid, if that's the philosophy.
Yeah, and in terms of rubbing people the wrong way, some more former ECW alumni, the very famous match that still is on YouTube, where the Public Enemy wrestled APA on a Sunday Night Heat match in '99 and got the brakes beat off them, as you would say. And apparently that was caused by the Public Enemy not wanting to do the spots that the APA wanted to do.
Yep, and that's the thing. I mean, they didn't want to. It's just so hard. They went, first of all, when you come into somebody's house, you have to be a little bit humble. I mean, not be pussy or anything, but just like, hey, I'm new. This is new waters, and just do what you're told. Now, I don't know what spots that they didn't like or what the things they didn't want to do. You just weigh out those options. The old me would have took the beating that they got for that, but the me now, if they would have just taken liberties of me and start beating the brakes off me, and like I say, and just put the whooping on me, I would have been, yo, I think that it's fair game now, man. That the gloves are off. I got to protect myself. So losing a job, I would have been like, all right, I'll lose my job, but I'm not gonna let these guys punk me.
Yeah, and it's interesting in so much as after that mugging that the APA delivered to Public Enemy, the Public Enemy came back and thanked them for the match. And I guess you're right, they were trying to save their job at that point, but apparently they turned off everybody in the WWF locker room because they were a big deal in ECW, and they thought that would automatically translate to WWF.
No, you got to be humble, no matter how famous, what lineage, what you got in your back, your who you are. I mean, if I went to AEW, if I went to TNA, if I went to WCW, or ROH, you're gonna come in with a better, like, hey, hi, how you? It's just like a new job, man. Just because you have the skills of, like, let's say an engineer, and you're the shit in a company, but when you start a new company, how you doing? Pleasure meeting you. Thank you for having me. Until you get your feet wet and you build up some traction. You know what I mean? Like, you build up yourself there, but you don't come in there like, I'm the shit. I don't need to know that. I'm not doing that. I'll do it this way. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, it doesn't fly well. Got to be a team player.
Yeah, and they, I think, not to speak ill, and I'm a big fan of their work, and not to speak ill of those that are gone, but it seems like their attitude really derailed them from being a success that they could have been. I know they had a run in WCW too, but they really were only main event material in ECW.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, look at what happened with the Dudleys. You know, when they came back and they had that big fight and they got the brakes beat off them again. You just gotta, even when you come home, man, you be like, "Hey, brothers, good to see you, man. Yeah, man, absolutely. Let's do it like this for sure." You know, like I said, I had no problems. I was like, man, as long as I got a paycheck, whatever you want. You know, I mean, if it was something ridiculous, then I'd be like, you know, I ain't doing that. But again, even when I said I wasn't doing that, I said, man, I really don't feel comfortable. You know, can we do something else? Then, you know, we'll figure it out. But if you come in there and be like, nah, man, I ain't fucking doing that shit, this bullshit, you know, then you might rub people the wrong way. Like I said, it just depends on the situation.
And you're also not, you know, a mark for yourself, and you have the right attitude. You're there to get paid, right?
Oh yeah, man. I'm not. I don't believe in my own hype, man. I mean, if that was the case, you know, like I said, I live a humble life, and I know my time was like I'm in the spotlight at this minute, and like I said, what Terry Funk told me, man, the same people you meet on the way up is the same people you meet on the way down. So I knew that my ride and that limelight status was not numbered. So I knew that one day I'd be happy to have to go back into the workforce or something. If I would become a, you know, like a rock or, you know, big superstar, then yeah, I needed to make sure I was on point, you know.
We talked about Kevin Nash earlier, and he had quite a famous shoot in the ring with Great North Wrestling alumni and a man who's going strong, man, at late 50s now.
Oh, the Hebrew Assassin?
No, not Paul. PCO, when he was Pirate Jean Lafitte, and they were doing a big show in Montreal, and he was you know, going to go over the champion there, and then the mythology goes the Click got involved, words were said in the ring, and Nash took some liberties, and depending on what interview you see with Kevin Nash, he offers different explanations of that, but I think it's pretty clear that he was unprofessional in that respect, and had the finish changed, and then shot on PCO in the ring. Are you familiar with that one?
No, I never saw that one, but I heard the story, and like I said, PCO is a nice guy. I met him when I was in Philly. Great. I mean, from my first impressions, you know, shows who the character is. But I mean, back then it was just different, man. You just didn't want issues or drama and stuff. So, you know, like I said, the me now compared to the me then are two different individuals. And I would have, you know, if that would have been on, I would have been like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna be fighting 3, but somebody's gonna know my name.
Yeah. And I think it contributed to a lot of the bad blood that the Click had at the time, because PCO is a very, to this day, a very amiable individual. I've communicated with him several times. Very, very nice guy, and certainly seemed to be unprofessional to me based on all the interviews that I've heard. Another one that's somewhat less famous but really interesting is John Tenta versus Koji Kitao in SWF.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that video.
In 91. Was that not wild?
Oh, yeah, that was wild. But the other guy was, you know, he had an attitude, you know. I mean, he was like a former sumo wrestler, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Another sumo, yep.
Yeah, he just thought his shit didn't stink, and that just led for it to go sideways. But that dude, you know, I mean, like I said, he just got his dick kicked in the dirt, you know, from John Tenta, you know, or Earthquake, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. I just saw the footage. They did I saw it on YouTube one time. It was like maybe a 2-minute video or something like that explaining those things.
And then Kitao grabbed the mic and basically buried the wrestling business for a cursed out Tenta, and then I guess quit the business entirely the next day.
Yeah, but he could do that, you know. I mean, I don't know what he's doing now, but you know, did he go back to sumo, or he just quit in general? Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, I found that one to be very, very bizarre. Then when we talk about tough guys, legit tough guys, and a man whose interviews are very popular on the HannibalTV.com, who's unfortunately passed, that would be Vader, who got into a couple of reported shoots in the ring. The first one being in 1990 against Stan Hansen in Japan.
Yeah, popped his eyeball out.
Yeah, where his eyeball got burnt and would have fallen out had it not swollen up. Apparently, that was due to the fact that Hansen hit him. Hansen, who has very bad eyesight.
Yeah, he's nearsighted.
Yeah.
No. Or is he farsighted?
I think it's near. Couldn't wear his glasses in the ring, didn't wear contacts, what have you, and hit him with the cowbell and I guess missed. And that created a scuffle. And then when Vader wrestled Ken Shamrock in 97 in the WWF, they apparently went at it for a portion of that match as a shoot as well. So, and that was on a pay-per-view, I believe. So Vader, a man who was, no doubt a legend, Hall of Famer for sure, but had a reputation for being a bit of a hothead himself. Did you ever cross paths with him on the Indies or
with who?
Like Vader.
No, never crossed paths with Vader. Don't know if he's a good guy, bad guy. We just never crossed paths.
Well, Ken Shamrock is definitely a legit tough guy, and I think based on the description of what happened with them, they went at it a bit, and Vader thought it was best to start to work.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I mean, Vader. No, Vader is just. I like Vader when he first started, especially with that big ass that helmet that shot out the whatever nitrous or whatever the shit spit out there. But the Stan Hansen situation that was just crazy. I mean, but it was an accident. Again, I heard many stories that he used to potato a lot of the boys because, like I said, he didn't wear contacts or glasses, so a lot of us he was stiff. But if you expect that, then you need to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then perhaps the either the number one famous or number two, depending on your perspective, backstage altercation that was legit. Bret Hart punching Vince McMahon in the 97 Montreal Survivor Series deal. But Bret also had a supposed shoot encounter with Shawn Michaels, pulling Michaels by the hair, grabbing a clump, and then Michaels uttering the famous line that we just talked about earlier, an unsafe work environment. What do you, aside from the details of that, which everybody's gone over quite a bit, have you heard of any such other situations in the history of wrestling where a promoter has been assaulted in the back, aside from Rene Dupree assaulting me a couple of times?
Well, Nails and McMahon.
That's right. Forgot about that one.
I'm trying to remember. Nails, Vince McMahon. The Sid Vicious and Tommy Rogers confronting Paul, but they haven't touched him. Trying to think of somebody else. As far as I know, that's the only two things that come off the top of my head.
Back to our mutual shared history in the business, that final hardcore road trip show in London where none of the boys were paid in advance and there was no transportation booked yet, and the promoter who used the name Mark Livingston disappeared. Legend has it, and you know this better than me, that some of the boys went looking for him and they were going to do some very bad things to him. Was that your understanding too?
Yeah, they were going to beat him up, but he left. He disappeared. Like he ran. I don't know if he went home or not, but he knew that if he went home, they would have found him. So, yeah, he never was found after the show.
I know, back, especially in the territory days, wrestlers would count the house and make sure that they got their fair pay, and promoters, some were shadier than others. Yeah. And I'm amazed, based on a lot of the stories that I've read and heard, that more promoters didn't get assaulted for shorting people and ripping them off on their payouts?
Because guys didn't want any heat and stuff like that, so they just suck it up as a loss. But I'll be honest, man. Nowadays, you just can't do that to people.
No, absolutely not. It's a terrible business practice, to say the least. And
Oh, I agree.
and then in more recent years, there was the mess that again probably significantly contributed to the eventual downfall of AEW, and that's the whole Young Bucks Omega Elite Jack Perry against CM Punk stuff. Back to that scrum, that highly entertaining scrum, where he called out the EVPs, and he said, "I'm old, I'm tired, I work with children." And then there was, I guess, the Bucks and Omega tried to confront CM Punk and Steel, and Punk apparently threw hands. What did you think of? It's one thing to air grievances, but it seemed to me that was a very public forum, and they were almost pushed into a confrontation or a response there. Who did you feel was accountable in that particular situation?
With the CM Punk situation?
Yeah, with
CM Punk.
You thought he was accountable for the hostility and the acting out?
Yeah, he should just let it go, man. I mean, like I said, but he's his own man. He could do what the fuck he wants. It's just that, the same thing with not Joey Janela, with Jungle Boy. I mean, the kid deserved what he got, not CM Punk, the kid. But right there, he should have just let it go. I mean, it's all words. It's nothing physical. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to me that speaking of AEW again, that's indicative of they have to use corporate terminology, they have major HR problems, and that will kill the morale of a company, as well as the eventually affect the product as well. In
kills morale, man. I just got my fucking eyes done. I told you that, and I'm like squinting, so I have to close my eyes, so I'm not falling asleep here. I'm just like trying to focus on this screen because they dilated my eyes. So that's why, if you're wondering, I'm doing this a lot or going like this, is because I can't see really.
I just thought it was going to be part of your new Mr. Magoo inspired gimmick.
No, I'm struggling here. Like, I can't really see the screen that well.
Well, that's me every day, brother, so I can relate. Do you, in terms of the fact that ECW was, the hardcore promotion, and there was a lot of substances being consumed and et cetera, did you yourself have any firsthand, not that you were involved in it, but were you there when there were any altercations amongst wrestlers?
No, man. The only altercation that ever occurred was the Vic Grimes and New Jack situation. We never had like fights, So I mean, no, I never even heard anybody talk sideways to anybody or verbally. I mean, yeah, they talk shit about people, because of stupid stuff, but it never went to that level of like fights or people getting. I mean, besides Vic got kicked out after the New Jack thing, but that was it. Nothing special. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was because Heyman was good at fostering that sense of family and community amongst the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we had a lot of love for each other. We took care of each other, and I mean, it was a rarity where somebody was upset with somebody.
Well, I think the most, if not the most famous, one of the most famous, but definitely the most severe, in that death could have resulted in terms of an altercation between wrestlers. It has to be that Arn Anderson, Sid Vicious fight involving scissors and multiple stabbings that your former ECW compadre Too Cold Scorpio intervened in.
Yeah.
And Too Cold said if that hadn't happened, Sid would have killed Arn in that tour of Europe in '93.
Well, I mean, yeah, I heard about that story, and Too Cold was the one that's just like, he's a good dude, man. Like I said, I mean, he stepped in at the right time and protect the boys and stuff. But I mean, shit, man. I mean, I don't know the reason why Arn Anderson did what he did, but I mean, he probably had some, justification.
Well, legend has it that Sid was, they had been on a horrendous European tour,
Yeah.
little sleep, everybody was drunk. And Sid made a comment that the sinking fortunes of the company at the time were the result of Ric Flair. Arn took exception to this, threatened him with a broken beer bottle. They went back to their rooms. Sid got a table or a piece of a chair leg or something. And then Arn came out with scissors and they were brawling. And then, of course, given Sid Vicious being Sid Vicious, and Arn not a small man by any means, but not a giant like him, he overpowered him and stabbed him in the neighborhood of about 20 times. It's amazing no vital organs were hit.
Yeah, maybe it was those kid scissors that you used to have. They were the safe ones, but it just didn't penetrate too deep. Hey, God bless him, man. He survived, so that's something that's just a rarity. When you just get stabbed that many times.
Yeah, and if memory serves me correct, I think Sid took the majority of the brunt for that because I think he was fired, and Arn was suspended, but brought back. But yeah, what a horrific incident, and thank goodness the tour schedule and the number of days worked is significantly less than it was back then, because you could see being in a foreign country without food, water, being stuck on a bus, going from one obscure town to another, you could see how these things would happen.
No, I agree. No sleep, pay sucks, and you just don't want to take shit from nobody. Yeah, I totally understand. That's the same thing that happened to me in Puerto Rico when I just was upset and stuff, and I just didn't want to deal with nobody. So I agree.
Do you think if you ran into, say at an upcoming show, if you ran into Dirty Dutch Mantel, that it would be on?
Fuck that dude, man. All these famous people that are dying that, I feel bad. Like right now I'm looking at a screen of, September 10th at 2 to 5. It was a celebration of life for Kevin Sullivan. They just did that this past Tuesday. And you feel like, oh man, these are legends and stuff. But I swear to God, man, when Dutch Mantel fucking dies, bro, I'm cracking this bitch open, bro. I'm gonna drink. Fuck him, dude. I just can't stand the motherfucker. He's just garbage. And and I wish you could send him this video because he could talk shit. He was no talented. He's this and that or whatever. I just really don't care, dude. Fuck him. I hope he gets fucking testicular cancer or some shit and eats him up alive.
That was kind of an unfair question because your animosity with Dutch is very well.
And I don't hate nobody. That's the funny thing. I don't dislike anybody. It's just the way he just approached me, the way he disrespected me. Like I'm just some sort of beneath him, garbage. And then Savio and them well, he's the booker. Knowing that I was in the right, knowing hey, you should not be talking to me that way. Well, he's the booker, and he runs the locker room. It's not the point he fucking runs the locker room. He needs to not talk to me that way. I earned my stripes. I earned my respect. I'm not one of these wrestling kids. But he thinks his shit didn't stink, and he's in my country, Puerto Rico, and I'm a Puerto Rican, and he thinks he's above me. Fuck him. Did
you ever consider tuning him up, so to speak, or no?
Tuning him up in the ring?
Well, just tuning him up one way or another. Or were you afraid for your job?
No, fuck that. No, because it didn't. The thing was, once I thought the thing was again, he was just mad because I didn't stooge out one of the boys, and that's the true story. And he just thought I was going to be like a yes man, which I wasn't. And then he just started putting on, once that situation finished, I thought we were good. And then he kept, pulling high spot and high spot and high spot on top of it. And I just got fed up, I just got fed up. I just went home, I mean, did I take my ball and run home to mommy? No, I just was like, oh, fuck this. I'm not dealing with this shit.
Well, it's certainly a phenomenon that definitely has occurred with some, I won't say frequency, but there's been quite a few. We just scratched the surface. There's more that we could talk about, but
Oh yeah.
I think with the business being the way that it is now, it's a more genteel sort of industry where that stuff is not acceptable in any way. With what they're doing in the ring pre-planned, such as what we talked about earlier in terms of AEW, it almost a backstage altercation would almost be overshadowed by the stuff that is laid out. So let's hope that in these situations, cooler heads prevail. And just as a cautionary note, you're aware that Mr. Dupree assaulted me last year in Renfrew, Ontario, and he got his. So I think what happens is what goes around comes around, and
I agree.
there's that whole receipt.
Receipt.
What was that?
I said receipt. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's that receipt phenomenon that you got to watch out for, and I guess the golden rule is best do unto others.
Yeah,
right?
and no, absolutely, and he's gonna get his licks, but first we got to get him in the ring. That's the key factor right there.
Well, that will definitely be happening in the future. We've burned through the hour like I knew we would. We have so much news, etc. this week, but what are you looking forward to? I know you've got a vacation coming up and some other good stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting my sight back right now. The other thing is that, like I said, I'm just looking for this Puerto Rico trip. I'm really trying to like relax and heal, and I think it's just gonna be, it's just gonna be fun and stuff. And then 2025 will be another year of excellence, and just gonna have fun, man. I'm just excited to come back to Canada eventually and defend my title. Big Daddy Oreo, we talked about that at the previous show where he wants another rematch, which I'm just like, you know what, dude, you got to show me that you earned a title shot, because now that I'm, like I said, I'm down to 276. I'm gonna try to get down to 250 solid, and you think I was a monster out of shape. I'm just gonna eat you up as I'm getting in shape. So just be prepared. Like a Scar from Lion King. Be prepared. So,
right on. And I think Big Daddy Oreo needs to realize that he's on the list of Kilby, and it's not a good list to be on. I'm working on the schedule for 2025. And all points in between have got some dates close to being locked up, and the big money players will be back in action, taking care of business with the term that you use, boots to asses, of which Big Daddy's on there, and so's Mr. Dupree. So I think we're gonna rid Great North Wrestling of these nuisances in 2025.
No, and I agree, man. And like Dupree's gonna get his, Big Daddy Oreo's gonna get his, and that's the thing, man. I'm excited for 2025. There's gonna be a lot of things gonna be happening, a lot of shows, and I'm just ready, man. So he better just start hitting the weights, using the Hogan line, saying his prayers, taking his vitamins, because he hasn't posted anything ever since the loss, because if he was really, really wanted a piece of me, he would have been posting stuff. He would have been reaching out to the company demanding a rematch, and then of course if I'm willing to give him a rematch. But he hasn't posted nothing. He hasn't said one word because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed because he thought he was going to do what he said he was going to do, and then when he got in the ring, he realized I bit off more than I could chew. And that's the thing. And he just didn't realize the severity of the situation until it was too late. And now he's trying to redeem himself to be the bigger man. I want another rematch. I'm ready for the Kingpin. But no, he's not, unless he's quiet and he's up to, the Rocky 4 segment, running up the icy trails, screaming my name on the mountain, Kingpin. Then he better start doing that, because if he's doing the same thing he did previously, this is just another instant replay of history repeating itself for him.
Except this time, we're not only going to stomp a mud hole in him, but after he spat in my face, he's going to be taking a ride to the hospital, and he's going to join his friend Dupree on the ground getting beat by yourself, myself, and let's not forget the prodigy Nathan Banner, the big money players. But fans, that's it for this edition of Shooting from the Hip. We welcome your input always. We got some fan input on this one in terms of some of the altercations that we discussed, but we're always willing and interested in what you have to say and show ideas. So hit up the Kingpin or myself on Facebook or X, and we'll definitely take those into account. But for now, I'm Jack Kilby signing off for the visually impaired, momentarily Kingpin, and we will see you next time.
Damn right.